The question today is why should the rest of us be committed to civility and norms if MAGA is openly committed to stealing, cheating, and authoritarianism? And it's a question that Danielle and I have asked ourselves and each other when we do Democracy Ish, which is Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Live. But today is our midweek check in. Wednesday, 3 p.m. Substack. You have to subscribe to Danielle Moody's Substack, Damn Digest. And if you can, subscribe to mine. It's no paywalls, it's free, but if you have a few dollars, please, it's independent media, goes a long way. And as we're discussing this, Texas Republicans, like the world's most helpful supervillains, are openly, publicly,
Mhm.
shamelessly, on television, telling the world Donald Trump wants 5 seats. He's openly saying he wants to gerrymander and redraw the maps so he could pick up 5 seats because they're really afraid they're going to lose in the upcoming midterm election. So they're going to do it. And guess what, folks? J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are now pressuring Indiana, and they're also pressuring Ohio. Openly saying just now, oh, randomly for no reason whatsoever, let's just redraw the maps because it seems like we might lose. And because our base is turning on us and Mike Flood, did you see that video of Mike Flood's town hall?
I did.
Just exquisite. And the fact that Donald Trump is double digits underwater on the economy and trade wars, and he's negative on immigration. And 80 to 89% of Americans are now glued and fixated on the never ending Epstein scandal. And oh, guess what? Ghislaine Maxwell got transferred. Oh, just randomly after talking to Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's attorney, and now she's in Club Fed. And oh, just today, according to sources, Danielle, she said Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Huh. I wonder why. But guys, it's not going away. And as this is happening last week, because it's been a while since I've talked to Danielle, a couple of days,
Jesus.
Donald Trump, this is the top of my head, Donald Trump fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he didn't like the numbers. And without evidence, he said it's fraud. And the numbers came out terrible. Terrible job growth numbers, folks. And it seems like we might be sliding to a depression, and he's doubled down on his attacks. And he was yelling to reporters on the roof yesterday, as one does. And he's 79 years old, and he's talking about windmills. But other than that, it's going great. And finally, Danielle, we're seeing some fight, some gumption, if you will, from the Democratic Party. Ken Paxton, is that his name? Did I get it right? Ken, the leader of the DNC.
Not
Not Ken.
Ken Paxton.
Not
Ken
Ken.
Paxton is Texas AG.
Ken Martin, thank you. Ken Martin is saying we're going to fight fire with fire. And he's close. I think you gotta, he says that we keep bringing pencil to a knife fight. I'm like, Republicans bring a bazooka. You're getting there. But now, Democratic governors, Danielle, are openly saying, all right, well, if you're going to gerrymander, we going to gerrymander. So your take on all this? Let's start with Texas and the cheaters.
It's like, where do you want to start? That was just Waj opening up the fire hydrant and just spraying acid on all of us, folks. So where do we want to start? One, shout out to the Texas Democrats, man. Like, this is not the first time that Texas Democrats have had to maneuver in this manner because they basically, I mean, let's just be clear that Texas has been a fascist state for quite some time. And a lot of the things that we see nationally have been started, right? Launched in Texas, launched in Florida, right? Those are the petri dishes for fascism.
Yep.
So shout out to those Democrats for calling a spade and knowing that what is happening here is that they are going to steal midterms. You and I have been saying this ad nauseum.
Yep.
For how long? Waj, were we saying that if Donald Trump became president again, that you can kiss free and fair elections goodbye, you can kiss midterm elections goodbye? And, just a couple of months ago, Mike Johnson, right, Speaker of the Fisher Price Speaker of the House, told his own members of the House, do not hold town halls. And why is that? Because of what just happened to Mike Flood. Because when you hold town halls, guess what? Your constituents show up. And guess who Republicans don't want to talk to? Their constituents, because they are voting for legislation that is wildly unpopular. And rather than care about holding on to their seats, which they usually do, when they actually have to fight for their seat and fight for an election, they've decided that Donald Trump said, hey, we're going to gerrymander this shit to hell. So you can just pass the legislation I want. Don't be worried about those constituents. And when they show up at these town halls, the people lose their minds. And that woman was very clear and thoughtful
Yeah.
about what she was addressing to to Flood. She didn't go off the rails. She wasn't shouting him down. She didn't bum rush the stage. She said, "What are you doing? I thought that you were our representative. I thought that you represented the people, and that's not what you're doing. How much longer do we have to deal with this bullshit? How much longer do we have to suffer?" So here's the thing. Um, if blue state governors do not follow suit with Newsom and Pritzker and other, if they do not follow suit and redraw the maps, because here's the thing, I don't want gerrymandering at all. But the fact of the matter is that if Republicans are going to continue to gerrymander this shit to hell, then Democrats need to do the same thing and worse, because we have bigger states. We have
Yeah.
bigger states, more populous states that can be cut up into the districts that are needed. So if they're going to do it in Texas and in Indiana and wherever Donald Trump says to do it, then blue state governors have to do the same thing. Like, we cannot continue to pretend to be adults in the room when the room is on fire and everyone is an arsonist that's inside. Okay. So if you are going to fight fire with fire, then you have to be a step ahead and stop reacting. Because while Democrats are fighting back, Waj, in my opinion, they're still a step behind. They're
Oh yeah.
waiting on Republicans to react. They're waiting on them to redraw maps. They're waiting on them to say, like, oh, guess what we got rid of today? Oh, parts of the Constitution, because Donald Trump didn't like it. So Article 1, Section 9 and 10, woo, they're gone. States don't have rights, and we no longer have habeas corpus because Donald Trump decided that's where we are. So Democrats have got to take this fight, but they have to create a war room. They have to create a war room that says, takes this random document that was created, Wajahat, called, oh, I don't know, Project 2025, and go line by fucking line and think into the future. What's the worst thing that they can do? And what is our response to that? What's the worst thing that we can do? And how do we safeguard? That's what they should have been doing for the past, oh, I don't know, entire administration of Biden, that they didn't do. But now that we're here, maybe you want to create more of a plan and not just react, because we don't have time for them to just wait on Republicans to do their dirt and then figure out, oh, what should we do next?
I think I agree with you. I think they're 5 steps behind. I give credit where credit's due that finally they're talking like this, but I think they're too late. And the reason why they're too late is Donald Trump is going full authoritarian almost on a daily basis, and it's just normalized now, right? Donald Trump yesterday openly said he's going to take a federal takeover of DC, federal
Easy.
takeover of DC, right? And we're like, that should be leading news if, God forbid, Joe Biden and Obama said, I'm going to have a federal takeover at DC. And right now, following Trump's orders on the Washington Post, agencies have stepped up law enforcement in DC. There's already enough law enforcement. Crime has gone down in DC. Violent crime has gone down all across America, but they just need any excuse for the authoritarian boot to come on the necks of the rest of us. And then we have CBS bending the knee. Then we have Paramount bending the knee, ABC bending the knee. We have Brown University. We have Columbia University. We have Harvard University, right? Now, Sirius XM is not renewing Howard Stern, even though he makes money. Why? Because they're bending the knee to Donald Trump, right? You got corporate lawyers bending the knee. All these people are bending the knee to a 79-year-old aging, decrepit criminal who is going to tank the economy, who is literally recreating reality to fit his delusion by saying that the BLS commissioner is committing fraud and it's rigged without giving any evidence. But believe me, your leader is the best economy ever, even though freaking the price of everything has gone up. There's the trade war that is disastrous. Everyone's turning away from America. Our tourism revenue has gone down. It's open authoritarianism. And this cheating that Danielle's talking about in Texas is an authoritarian playbook. Well, we can't win the regular way. Let's just cheat and redraw the maps. And you're still waiting for Democrats to be like, wah. But the fact that Ken Martin lined up with Pritzker, and the fact that Newsom, a governor of California, said it, and Hochul, the governor of New York, said it, that gives me some hope, right? But they got to do it, man. And I know people say, well, don't blame the Democrats, but we're only in this, folks, in part because of the weakness of the Democratic Party, right? Like, Biden at the end came out and gave his recommendations Supreme Court reform. And the rest of us who said expand the court, you're too extreme. Yeah, right? Hold these people accountable. Effing fire Merrick Garland. Fire him. Who gives a shit? Just fire him and put in someone else who can get the job done. But civility, Does Donald Trump care about civility, folks? Do they care about the rule of law? They're openly going authoritarian, creating a sham investigation against Obama to distract from Epstein. That means that Donald Trump is now forcing law enforcement and the DOJ, which is not the president's job, by the way, to
Mm-hmm.
marshal away all these resources, Danielle, and all this
Mm-hmm.
money away from the number one domestic terror threat, white supremacist terrorism, that you never hear them speak about because, they're allies, to now literally waste our taxpayer dollars focusing on Obama to distract from Epstein, right? So this to me is, I need fighters. I need you to step up and go balls to the wall and fight. And I like Jasmine Crockett. I think it was today or yesterday where she said, we would have taken the House. Democrats would have taken the House if it wasn't for Republicans cheating. She openly said it. The House should be ours. And she's not wrong, folks. And so I need them to just say, all right, mother effers, you want to gerrymander? Two can play at that game. We live in populous states. The most populous state in the country is California, also the fourth or fifth largest economy. You do that shit with Texas, I'm going to bring out New York, Illinois, and California. Now what? Now you put the ball in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, are you okay with Texas gerrymandering? Of course they are. All right. Then if you're okay with that, then you're okay with us. And I feel like this is what they should have been doing, Danielle, and I need more. The reason why, if I may say why I'm skeptical, folks, is you're seeing, in my opinion, a divide within the Democratic Party. You're seeing
Mm-hmm.
some people shift, but
Mm-hmm.
slowly. But on the major issues, they're still milk toast. For example, Dem senators still haven't called it a genocide. Alyssa Slotkin still hasn't come out, or even Cory Booker still hasn't come out and endorsed Mamdani. And like Congress, they're like, oh, we don't talk about other issues. Alyssa Slotkin, I'm just a corn-fed, simple girl who just worked in the CIA and went to an Ivy League university in New York. What do I know about the world? Mamdani's still not endorsed, right? They still haven't let go of the APAC nut. They still haven't let go of the corporate dollar nut. So I feel, Danielle, I need to see it in order to believe it. But I still give them credit for actually coming out as a united group and threatening it. That's where I'm at.
I mean, here's the thing. One, I think that I have said this before, which is that the Democratic governors, they have the DGA, the Democratic Governors Associations. They need to link up together and decide that we're not providing federal taxes. We're not paying our federal taxes. We're going to withhold. If Donald Trump is going to withhold, right, saying, oh, if you create a sanctuary city for whoever it is, LGBTQ people, if it's for Palestinians, if it's for Muslims, whatever group it is, this is why they just white it out, right? Section 10 of the Constitution, because it gives states certain rights, right?
Yep.
And so they're saying, no, we don't believe in states' rights. We believe in red states having rights, but we don't believe in blue states having rights. And it's the same thing that the Supreme Court has been dictating from on high with Roberts' court. My thing is that Democratic governors need to go further. They need to not only say that we're going to redraw our maps, they need to say that we're not going to provide, right? We're not paying you anymore. We're not providing welfare to these red states anymore. If you are going to play with our money, we're going to play with your money. And that they're going to decide to link up, to have trade between themselves, or decide also, you know what? Canada seems really willing to talk to California and really willing to talk to Oregon and Washington. Here's the thing. Like, if you want to play games, then we can play games and we got more money.
Yep.
California has the fourth largest economy, right? So, like, if you want to play games with what is happening here, stop letting them dictate the rules of that game and step it up a notch. Say
Yeah.
what we're not going to do, right? Like, we're not going to provide federal taxes. You can take that or leave it. We have states' rights, right? And if you want to take this to the Supreme Court, by all means, but they're unconstitutional and full of shit anyway. So I don't know why any of us have to follow their laws. They are setting up like this lawlessness and essentially a receding that is going to happen with other states. Like,
Yep.
that is what's going to happen. And I say begin it economically, because they won't survive without California and New York's money. They just won't. right? And they need to figure out how they link arms and do what it is that they need to do to support one another, right? Economically, with troopers, et cetera, et cetera. But we are going to have to lock these states down. That is where I think that this is headed. That is where I've always thought that this was headed, right? And so for me, great. You're making these moves. You're doing a lot of lip service. Fantastic. Redraw the fucking maps. Redraw them and like put it. This is what it is. How many more seats could Indiana possibly get? How many more seats could, in order for them to keep pushing it over? We've got to start being proactive and not reactive. That's how we're going to win.
But you have the Schumers of the world, and the Schumers of the world are still committed to APAC corporate donors in this old way of thinking that they believe they can make deals for themselves and their friends. It was Schumer who backstabbed the Democratic House, right, when it came to the shutdown. And then he poached some votes, and he got like, what, 9 other Democratic senators to essentially hand Donald Trump and MAGA, and when they use that to gut more government agencies, right? I do not believe that this current crop of Democratic leaders is built for this fight or made for this moment. They're not.
They're
They were
not.
useful. They were useful in the past. They're not. They're not made for this. You need a Jasmine Crockett, an AOC, a Mamdani, who, by the way, Mamdani is a Democratic socialist. Guess what, man? Went with a bold plan. All right, free buses. What are you gonna do, mother effer? Free buses. I'm gonna,
But watch. Let me ask you this real quick though, because I don't think that Mamdani needs their endorsements anymore. I think their non-endorsement is endorsement enough for the rest of us, right?
But
Democrats continue
it
to
reflects
reveal
the weakness of the
themselves.
Democratic Party. No, I completely agree with you. He doesn't need it.
Yeah,
Mamdani has gone up. Folks, he's at 50% now. And 2 days ago, the New York Times had an article that young Jews in New York overwhelmingly support Mamdani, not in spite of, because of his position on Gaza,
right.
right? And the guy has gone up, 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 up. He's at 50%. The other competitors are Cuomo and Silva. And you have the latest polls that show this guy is winning across the demographics: black voters, white voters, young voters, Jewish voters, Muslim voters, and they still don't endorse him. And the reason I bring it back to Mamdani, because to me, Mamdani, is, yes, he's just the mayor of New York, but it's a bellwether. It's a bellwether race, which has terrified the Democratic leadership, right? Like, oh my God, if this guy wins, the mayor of New York City, with the platform that he has as a Democratic socialist, AOC is no longer an outlier. Bernie's not an outlier. Oh
Right.
shit, we've lost control of the narrative of the party. So we have to just lock down. This is why you saw Elisa Slotkin last week going on Crystal Ball show, which was amazing because she got destroyed. And you saw Elisa Slotkin doing her best to do the media tours because they want to promote themselves as the fighting centrist. Bullshit. There's no fighting centrist anymore. If you're a fighting centrist, you're about as useful as a second belly button. No disrespect to people who have second belly buttons, but you need balls to the wall radical fighters who, by the way, aren't that radical. In that Mike Flood town hall, I saw one of his. He said, Do we believe that a healthy 28-year-old man should be given, the government should give him health care?" And everyone said, "Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, as a right, yes." And so I believe they don't understand. They're not willing, Danielle. The Democratic Party is not willing to open their eyes and see that their base has shifted. It is no longer the base of Bill Clinton or Obama or Biden. It has shifted. And the base wants change now, and they want fighters. Balls to the wall, friggin' brass knuckles on, bring it. Even if you
But
lose, we
here,
don't give a shit.
and the other thing is, but the Republicans' base has shifted too.
Yep.
That's why they're gerrymandering. You have to understand, and this is again an exploitive tactic that Democrats could be using. The Republicans' base is shifting. They no longer trust their base. They don't trust them to come out for them in the numbers
Nope.
that they did. And so they know, because why? Because all of the polling said that that big bullshit bill was polling in the negative for
Negative
people.
25.
Because they don't
Negative
because they
25.
because they also don't want their neighbors and their friends picked off, but up off the street, kidnapped by masked men. They don't want to be terrorized. They don't want their kids' school interrupted in the middle of class with masked men coming in and ripping out, their kid's best friend. Right? They are seeing these things happen in real time. And so what I say is that what Democrats should be talking about right now, among so many other things, Epstein and the rest of it, is that Donald Trump doesn't trust you anymore. He actually called you a bunch of liars and said that you're dumb for following a Democratic host, but he doesn't trust you, which is why he's trying to rig the midterm elections. You trusted him. You entrusted him with your vote because he told you that he was going to make your life better. And now here you are. And now he's trying to rig it so that you no longer have a voice anymore. Like these white people, slowly but surely are waking up, and the Republicans are terrified of that
Yep.
because what they needed was an ignorant, fearful base in order to get their fascism over the hill. And now we are 7, 8 months in to this fuckery, and their own base is showing up at meetings that they never showed up before at town halls. They never showed up. It's why these people have been able to get away with what they've been able to get away with. Now that they're facing their constituents are like, we voted for you. We trusted you so we could go along with the rest of our lives. And now we're saying, we can't trust you. And the Republicans are saying, well, we don't trust you either. So now we need authoritarianism. Now we need fascism.
And you know what? This economy, folks, look at all the signs. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. This economy is going sour real quick. Moody's has already
Bad.
downgraded our credit rating. These trade wars are a friggin' failure. The tariffs are now hitting because tariffs are taxes. The prices are going up. Consumer confidence has dipped. The stock market last week had its worst ending to the week since 2020. You know, the pandemic, the job report numbers, it was low job numbers even in the private sector. We've lost at least $12 billion in tourism already because nobody wants to come to the shithole country. Donald Trump somehow thinks he can still have his Gestapo out and people will come for the 2026 Olympics. Hell no, countries ain't going to come to the 2026 Olympics. People aren't going to come to the, 2028 Olympics. People aren't going to come to the World Cup. Why would they? All right, people are turning away right now. He just did 50% tariffs on India, wants to punish them for buying Russian oil, right? Folks, it's a disaster. This is a cluster F, but our country is so self-destructive that they couldn't vote for a black Indian woman, so voted for him instead. And now also, in addition to keeping people dumb and keeping people tired and keeping people overworked and confused, RFK, you know, friggin' one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, probably, you know, cosplays as a Grim Reaper, who's a director of our HHS, who was just mentioned yesterday, reported yesterday that he's cutting $500 million from mRNA vaccines. And this is in addition to the dismantling of our public healthcare infrastructure. So what's going to happen after the midterms, folks, in about a year and a half? The cuts are going to come. The $1 trillion cuts to Medicaid. And Danielle, I hope I am wrong. But I think the turn and the reason why there might be some hope is less to do with Democrats and is more to do with the radicalization of Trump's own base against him. They are terrified of their own base. They've radicalized their base. Their base has a lot of weapons. There are more guns in this country than people. Once that Medicaid gets cut, in addition to this recession that's about to happen, who's getting $500 million? Jules. RFK cut $500 million from mRNA vaccines. Cut. And this is already while we have a spike in measles, the worst measles outbreak since the 1970s. So they want a sick, tired, dead, overworked. And this is before the Medicaid cuts. I think they see the writing on the wall, Danielle. And what you and I have said is the world's worst, I told you so, is that they are going to cheat. And then we heard Donald Trump say we need electoral reform. And then you and I said that means cheating. And then right on cue, Texas gerrymandering. And then the next step we said is if the Texas gerrymandering doesn't work, because folks, as JD Vance is trying to push Indiana, Republicans, they aren't that dumb, the senators and the House. They realize, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, oh, meh, there's some pushback happening in Indiana. There's some pushback happening in Ohio. They know it's costly. They know it's divisive. And they realize California and New York have threatened to do it. And that's why the Republicans of California are like, please, please don't do this. And I'm like, sorry, that's the
Do it.
Faustian bargain you made. But I think, Danielle, if I'm a Republican, I'm less
Mhm.
scared of corporations and the institutions who are all feckless. I'm less scared of the DNC because they see the DNC like a majority of people, including Dempsey, the DNC as deer in headlights. It's their base, Daniel. And this Epstein scandal, The reason why the Epstein scandal has dominated the media, where 89% of Americans are following it, as I said before, and I'll say it again, it's because of the right wing, not the DNC that should have been running with it, not friggin' corporate media. Even with the Epstein scandal, we've talked about this before. Nancy
Yep.
Pelosi comes back 2 weeks ago and says on Chris Jansen's show, we should talk about kitchen table issues. This is
Kitchen
a
table
distraction.
topic.
89% of Americans are following this. This is the only bipartisan issue in the last 10 years that Americans follow. You know what I would do if I was a Democrat? This is what I would do. I'm holding a press conference with the Farmer Sisters and Virginia Giuffre's family. Can you please tell us about how Ghislaine Maxwell abused you? I'm going to demand that we have hearings into Alex Acosta and why he gave a sweetheart deal to Epstein. I want hearings into Leslie Wexner and why he gave Jeffrey Epstein a $77 million townhouse. I don't know, Danielle. That's what I would do. You?
I mean, also on top of that, can somebody explain to me, as you mentioned at the top of the show, why she was put into a minimum security prison right after meeting with? Can somebody explain to me why this woman is now at Club Fed just chilling? Where like other people, I don't get it. Right. So, like, these are real questions. All of a sudden, you meet with the DOJ, and now you have like you're like good to go in and the next thing you know, she will be released. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, oh, minimum security. Oh, Donald Trump's, he's totally good. Yeah, sure he is. Okay, we get it. You're getting a deal. And the deal is to have a minimum security. And I'm certain, like, maybe now you have a TV in your cell. And maybe now, like, you have a maid. Like, I don't fucking know. But here's the thing is that we know that this is quid pro quo because that's how Donald Trump's been operating since the beginning. Can you do me a favor, though? Can you find me 11,760 something odd votes, though? Can you make sure that my name doesn't come up in the Epstein files? And hey, Ghislaine, I'll do something for you. You wash my back, I wash yours, right?
Yep.
Like, do away with those photos of me with naked little girls and, and everything will be well. Donald Trump can stand on and play Fiddler on the Roof as much as he fucking wants. But the fact of the matter is the public is not forgetting this.
Yeah, and the public, not just the public's not forgetting this, the base is not forgetting this. And, I talked to Asun's, who's a Rolling Stone senior reporter. I'll have that piece out later today, folks. It was a really good conversation. He's doing good reporting on it. But, he was talking about how it's like this type of poetic irony that MAGA radicalized its own base with the QAnon lie. And that lie now has created this monster that is now coming after the leaders, right? They were promised red meat. They were promised the Epstein files. Who promised them the Epstein files? Donald Trump, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. And once they got in, they're like, whoopsie. Pam Bondi in May told Donald Trump he's all over the Epstein files. So what we're witnessing right now, Daniel, I use this term, and Aswin agreed with me. We're witnessing a cover up, and we have to use
Yep.
language. This is a cover up in real time, done by the world's most reckless, dumb people. They're covering up the Epstein scandal, and they're lying to the American public. Doing, just to connect the dots with the timeline. Wall Street Journal drops article after article after article that says that Donald Trump wrote this lewd note to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. It was compiled in a book by Ghislaine Maxwell, who not only preyed on women, stalked on women, groomed women, also molested the women, according to Virginia Giuffre, who's dead, died by suicide in April, and also the Farmer Sisters. That's the one, by the way, that the Trump administration just helped out. So I would ask, why are you pro-pedophilia? Simple question that I would ask that would win Democrats some numbers. But I digress. Donald Trump cannot shut the F up, has spoken out, made things worse, worse, worse. Talked about he stole from me. He's talking about a human being, 16-year-old Virginia Giuffre, that Ghislaine Maxwell stole when she was a spa attendant on Mar-a-Lago. You've also had a reporting that his attorney general, Pam Bondi, told him in May he was in the files. When ABC News asked him about it, he lied to the public. He was, I've talked to Pam. She did great work. Yeah, I'm not in the files. He's in the files. CBS News reported that the
He's in
FBI,
the files.
he's in the files. The FBI had a division, and Allison Gill actually broke this news first, where they were assigned to look at all the thousands of documents, and every
And
time
put them
Trump
in
made
an Excel spreadsheet.
that is viewable to everyone in that division, by the way. So exquisite, just the worst criminals ever. I love it. Um, and furthermore, we know that the tape is missing not just a minute, but according to Wired, missing 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And furthermore, CBS, according to a government source last week, said that a government source says that Pam Bondi and the Trump administration has access to the whole unedited tape. So what they've been trying to do, folks, is use our resources and the DOJ to concoct a witch hunt. This is what authoritarians do against Obama on a bullshit, trumped up, I don't even want to get into it, Russia bullshit. And again, what authoritarians do. Can you imagine if Biden did this, used our resources to lie, unleash the Justice Department on a bullshit effing, witch hunt to distract, and it's still not working. And now, Danielle, I don't know if you saw, but reports are that JD Vance is meeting with Bondi and some other folks in the Trump White House to come up with messaging around the Epstein scandal.
Motherfucker, you are months late for that messaging meeting. That messaging meeting probably should have happened in May when they were alerted to the fact that he was all over the Epstein files. You want to do messaging now? As a former crisis communications person, you are way, way, way behind. And no messaging that you're going to offer up to your rabid red base is going to somehow silence them. It is not. It is actually just going to provide more fuel for the fire. So I say, go ahead, come up with your new messaging. Because first he was a scumbag, then he was this, then he was that, then we were close friends, then he stole from me, then it was that. Dude, we know that you like young girls, children. We know that. Why? Because you have told us time and time again. That's why you started a pageant. That's why you were able to walk into girls' dressing rooms that were 17 years old. That's
Yep.
why, you had all of these parties that was just what? You and Epstein. That's not a party, right? It's so, and oh my goodness. And listening to Republicans say, can you possibly believe that Donald Trump would be involved in this?
Yes.
If I'm on the media, if I'm in corporate media, just run the I get to do whatever I want because I'm a star. I get to grab them by wherever. And then the new video that came out, I think I played it on Monday on the Danielle Moody show, was him talking about hiring underage girls at Mar-a-Lago because they were so pretty. And his staff said they don't have any experience and they're underage. And he said, I don't care. Hire them. Midas Touch put that out on Monday.
Well, Danielle, no, run the tape even before that. I mean, this has been so public and it's so, what does it say about a country that venerates and bends the knee to a pervert and a criminal who for decades has talked about his love for young girls? I mean, this is a man who has sexualized his own daughter. Not even just Ivanka. I want to remind you all that when Tiffany was born, that's the one that he had with Marla. She was just 1 year old, and he says legs. He's got the legs so far are there like Marla, but we still have to see about the chest. His daughter was one. This is a man who has so many comments on the record sexualizing Ivanka. This is a man who, in his first Trump administration, it was reported that John Kelly had to intervene when he was going on and on about Ivanka and her hotness, and he said, "Sir, that's your daughter." This is a man who partied with Epstein since the late 80s. This is a man who, like you said, had Miss Teen USA and then just barged into the dressing room of Miss Teen USA. This is a man.
Teen USA. It's in the title, folks.
Yeah.
Teen.
This is a man who pointed at 10-year-old girls and 12-year-old girls and openly used to say, in 10 years, I'm going to date her. This is a man who's had, what, at least 24 credible accusations of sexual assault, a man who's been held liable for sexual assaulting and defaming E. Jean Carroll, a man who's a criminal, a man who's been caught on tape saying, when you're rich, they let you get away with it. I just like to grab women by the pee. What more do you need to see? It's all been out there, Danielle. And what's so disgusting is that this is the man who's the president of the United States, that this is the man who might destroy, probably, he's already made America into a shithole, folks. I know people don't like hearing it. The damage that has been done is generational. And
Yep.
it's all been out there. And again, I try to be fair. We start off giving the Democrats credit. But folks, I'm telling you, the only reason that all this public knowledge is only coming out right now is because it's the Republicans and MAGA that led with it. And they gave the corporate institutions and the Democrats the permission to finally
Yep.
talk about it. It's always been there, all out there. But everyone's been bending the knee. My fear is, Danielle,
Mm.
I agree with you. I do not think he can squirm his way out of this one. This is one he cannot deflect away from. I think MAGA has been radicalized on this, and they will not be satiated until something is released. The video, the files. But as we know, if the files and video are released, he's incriminated, and so are a lot of other powerful people. So what will happen, especially as he's aging, as his numbers are going down, as the economy is going to tank and go into recession, as people are going to get sick, you're going to have more violence, more agitation, more angry town halls. He's going to be a cornered rat, a cornered rabbit rat, and he's going to chew through anything and everything and everyone to stay alive because Donald Trump cares about nothing but himself. And as such, I think we're going to get full blown authoritarian coup attempt. What I mean is, I feel if I was him, and I hope I'm wrong, and I want to be wrong, and I don't want to give him advice, I would simply say martial law, insurrection act, and unleash the Gestapo, the ICE, against anyone who protests.
Yeah, it's coming by probably by the end of the year. I mean, like, look, the writing is on the wall. He's losing his own constituents. He's losing his base. He's also losing his fucking mind because somebody still explained to me why he was on the fucking roof, and somebody tell me why the New York Times says, "Oh, Donald Trump holds, interesting meeting on roof." Like, you cannot sane wash this more. It's fucking bananas, and it makes no sense. And you cannot make nonsense make sense to us anymore. I think America has reached its full. But the fact of the matter is, look, um, this country, as you said, as we say, has more guns than it does people.
Yeah.
That's the problem with America. That's the problem that Republicans have been stoking every time that there is a mass shooting of young children and we ask for gun reform. They say, no, no, no. The very thing that they've been coveted, the very thing that they've been paid off for is going to end up working against them. Today,
Yep.
how many mass shootings were there today? At least two that I saw, right? So
We haven't even talked about it. Jeez.
just two mass shootings happened today on one of them I know for sure was on a military base. I don't know where the other one was.
I think five killed, five people killed.
I mean, that's just par for the course, right? So if you're not going to be shot to death, then you're going to die of measles, and if you're not going to die of measles, you're certainly going to be broke. And if you're not dead, broke, or disease, like you're going to be out of your fucking mind. That's the direction this country is headed in. And if the people want change, the people are going to have to take to the streets because I'm telling you, Democrats, for the moves that they are making, the subtle moves that are being made
Five
now,
injured.
are not enough.
Thank you, Heather. There's five injured, and I agree with you. It's not enough right now. It's not enough
Injured.
to meet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, not enough to meet the moment. I know they just don't have it. And you're seeing a civil war happening within the Democratic Party. It's out there. It's clear. There's a vacancy in leadership. And everyone's jockeying for a position and the future of the party. You have the Lisa Slotkins and the Schumers and the Cuomos and all these other people, the people supporting the Cuomos. And they're going to hold on to power, folks, into even after death. They're going to have rigor mortis holding on to power. They ain't going to let go of it. You have to pry it from their cold, dead hands. And you're seeing this young generation trying and rising. And they're going to do everything, folks. They're going to do everything to try to quash them. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Mamdani is going to pull through. But is it going to be enough to save this democracy? I don't know. And this is where I think the right wing might actually help us. The right wing discontent, the right wing fissures, right? Because yesterday, if you all remember, Donald Trump briefly said that he was going to withhold aid from cities and states that boycott Israel. Did you see that, Danielle? And then
Yep.
what happened? Within 3 hours, his base revolted. They said, are we MAGA or are we MEGA? Make Israel great again. And his America First base that hates Israel increasingly. And then Donald Trump said, not because of the liberals, not because of the corporate America, not because of the institutions, because his base turned. He said, okay, my bad. You're right, my bad. So it might just be that these MAGA splinters, which we should, like I've said and you've said, encourage the division, right? To
Floyd.
quote Dikembe Watanabe, let them fight. This, this is what might actually give the cojones to our corporate institutions and the Democrats to do something they should have done 10 years ago. Your take.
I mean, I think that is absolutely right. Look, Donald Trump, what is it? Trump always chickens out, right? Every
Taco.
single time that he makes a move, his base is now waking up slowly but surely. I'm not saying that they're woke, folks. I'm saying that they are waking up to the fact that their lives are worse off now in just a few months than it was under the 4 years of Biden when everyone was telling them that their lives were shit. And now they see, actually, no, I am feeling like my life is shit, because it is. And now the person that I voted for is in charge. I think that this base is splintering. I think that they are turning. And I think that Democrats, if they're smart, which they're not, will exploit it and
Yep.
run with it, whether it is Epstein, whether it's the jobs reports, which are shit, whether it is the fact that no one is going to Vegas anymore and Vegas is a canary in a coal mine as it comes to businesses, and whether businesses are holding their retreats or
Can you tell
what have
Danielle how much the percentage it was? Tell them what just came out.
11%. 11%. It's down 11%. Right? I've been seeing all over social media people going into Vegas and they're in the airports and nobody's there. I will tell you, I just flew recently and I flew on a flight, folks, that was like empty. And when I say
Wow.
empty, I mean empty, empty, empty to the point where they used to not fly if the plane was that empty. No one is traveling, one, because they don't have any money, and two, because like the tourists don't want to come here. They don't want to come here. It is not safe. They are not interested. They'd rather go someplace else and spend their money and know that they're not going to be kidnapped, know that they're not going to be shot at, and know that, like, they can enjoy themselves and then not spend $1 million on like going to get a coffee.
Or that their kid won't get measles, which is
That
spike.
too. And then they get to bring that back home.
A freak RFK, who's now the director of Human Health Resources and Human Health Services, who will literally kill us, folks. It's a pro-death cult, and they don't care if we die. It's a right-wing authoritarian movement. These people are nihilists. These people are worse than Bond supervillains, because at least a Bond supervillain had like an end game and also was smart. These people are reckless and dumb. We're being killed by the dumbest, most reckless, most cruel people on earth who, Oswin said this, they're tripping on their own dick. I want to quote him. That's a legal term. And Donald Trump, man, the more
I
he
love
talks,
Oswin. I
yeah,
love him.
he's like,
Good.
he's like, you tried his best. You could tell because he's a senior reporter for Rolling Stones. And then at the end, he goes, they're just dick tripping. He just couldn't help it. Folks, I got about a little bit early because I'm talking to God at 4. So I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, actually, I have a scheduled interview, Daniel, at 10 a.m. with Michael Wolff. Let's see if he can commit to it. So let's see if he does it. And at 12, I have an interview with Barry Levine, who did a great book on Epstein and the money trail. So that's going to be at 10 and 12. I'm traveling to Texas tomorrow, but I should be there at 11 a.m. My 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday, for another episode of Democracy Ish with Danielle. There's almost 1,000 people watching, folks. Danielle and I are going to have this up in an hour or so on our Substacks. Danielle's at Damn Digest. I'm at the Left Hook. Folks, we're independent. Please, if you can, help us by becoming a free subscriber. There are no paywalls. If you have a couple of bucks, first go to Danielle and subscribe. And then if you have another $5, $5, we kept it super cheap. It helps us do what we're doing. There's no corporate donors. We don't bend the knee to anyone. And plus, we host Democracy on Danielle Moody's YouTube channel. We're trying to get her to 40,000 subscribers. That's at Danielle Moody on YouTube. So please subscribe there. And Danielle hosts like 47 shows. Danielle, shamelessly promote yourself.
Yes, this is very awesome, Waj. You're so fantastic. Folks, the Danielle Moody Show is live on YouTube Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So I'm getting off here and I will be on YouTube at 5 p.m. Eastern. So check me out there. And again, earlier today, I did the check-in with Jared Yates Sexton that I do with him to talk about how we emotionally make it through authoritarianism. That episode is up now on the Damn Digest. Yeah, folks, please, if you can, subscribe. It's free. If you can become a paid subscriber, consider doing so and support independent media. We appreciate you.
Thank you all. Be kind, be nice, be decent, be empathetic, and please, oh, please, don't
Don't
be affected.
be a fascist.
Thank you, Danielle. See you soon.
Thank you, my friend.